All right, we are live. Welcome to Sunday morning. It is already the 2nd of February. Spring is at hand. It feels like it. So, well, we had snow. I mean, I've all the checklists. Snow done. Now we're like, is it spring yet? I would like.
Don't get your hopes up yet, because it's gonna be cold.
I would like. So a whole February of spring would be nice. So we left off on page 467. And so that is church organization. Now, to keep in mind, we're in the area of let's say discussion on conflicting issues, right? So keep that in mind as we start again today. Ignatius served as Bishop of Antioch during the first half of the 2nd century AD. He was martyred around 115. So that's good. It gives us a date, right? Now we have a time stamp, if you will, because we either want to know like natural disasters are good, and then the volcano blew up. Okay, probably we can figure that out in written history. Or in the year of such and such, he was killing everyone. Well, we know we can figure out when general time frame if you're a leader or a ruler, emperor, whatnot, when about that was. So by knowing when he was martyred in Rome, then we have a end date for him, right? So, and then we can work backwards. So we may not know exactly when he wrote the letter, but we know it had to be before that. And so so while journeying under armed guard to Rome, which would put it right at the end, right? He wrote the letter to the Ephesians, which he stated, we ought to receive everyone whom the master of the house sends to be over the household, as he would do him that sent him. In manifest, therefore, we should look upon the bishop, even as we look upon the Lord himself. Now, let's stop for a second. So, one, this is an inspired word, right? But this is something that they're using to say the authority, right? And so now it's gonna talk about, well, that's great that he said it. Did anybody in the Bible say it? And we're gonna see, no, not to the extent here. So with that, some have seen a similarity between the position of bishops and the pastorals and the position of church leaders described by Ignatius. This perceived similarity leads them to date the pastorals beyond the time of Paul and into the 2nd century. So just because a secondary writer who is not that was what Paul ever wrote. And because they wrote it, doesn't mean now we have to put Paul letters after that time frame to support what Ignatius wrote, right? So just keep that in mind. And the argument is going to present itself, but I just want to keep that in mind as we go. So and that's why it says the perceived similarities. Yes, they're kind of similar, but it is not. Show me the verse, right? That's I always like to go. Show me where it says that. So further, those who date the pastorals in the 2nd century maintain that an excessive interest in church organization appears in the pastorals. So the 2nd century would be after Paul. That would be an argument to say that those books were not written by Paul. So with that, they being the people who are pushing this idea forward, they cannot accept that the same person who wrote 1 Corinthians, which had little interest in church organization, and the pastorals, which show great interest in the same subject. So they're trying to push that Paul didn't write it, which would mean who wrote it? We don't write it if Paul didn't write it, right?
Somebody else.
So, yes. So we don't know who, so that would be an issue too, because it would change what the initial church understood